everybody, I'm Tommy and you're on the boat. What's happening? Look at that, 112 of you already in here. Do me a favor and hit that like button. YouTube loves it. And you can also, Rupert is fantastic. Lilac Lime, I saw him, it's been about a week and a half, but we were really concerned because we hadn't seen, Rupert is a dog we see down here in, what's that? Yeah, make sure you smack the like button, hit the bell for notification, and hit subscribe. You'll thank me later. Tommy, the boomer's back. Anything to get you a donation. Well, that's the spirit. Apparently, there's that hype button too. Don't know that I completely understand it, but boy, you guys have been doing a lot of it, and I really do appreciate it. And if you knew the hate that I got for the last show, man, people really get bent out of shape when you say that there's a chance this woman's no longer with us. Hey, hope is a beautiful thing. I think there's a great quote about that from Shawshank Redemption. No, let's go. Hope is a beautiful thing. You're talking to a guy that did 13 years in a federal prison. I'm well aware of hope. Right. And there is hope. And I'm going to continue to pray that this woman is found and that she is found safe and alive. However, that doesn't mean that I'm going to believe that there's a decent chance of that happening at this point. I'm sorry. And a lot of you have also reached out with theories. There's a couple of you that really are trying to make the case for the fact that this very well could be a cartel thing. I want to tell you something. The cartels aren't hacks. They're pretty good at what they do. And if they were to have done this, I assure you that they would be pushing real hard to get paid. They don't do things to make a point, and they don't do things for other reasons. They do it to get paid. And they would have showed proof of life, and I mean quickly. Aw, just got a beautiful text from my wife. I love you too, honey. Heather Snoopy, glad that you're here. What's happening? Hey, Tush. Look at that, Tush. Royal, glad that you're here. Of course, because this is my 9 o'clock show, my stuff's going to freeze. Just got home. We'll listen to you later. Glad I caught you live. Well, I'm glad that you did too. You can still have hope, but maintain reality. I just got to ask a question, and it's going to bum people out. But at this point, why? Honest to God. I mean, why, if you were the person that did this, would she still be alive? Somebody also left a comment that said, if a person has a power of attorney, if the person dies, the power of attorney ends. If the person can't be found, it does not. That, I don't know whether or not that's the truth. That was a comment that was left literally 30 seconds before I went live. But either way, I think it's a pretty decent sized risk that you disappear the woman and then start writing stuff out of her account. I would imagine that one of the first things that they're going to do in any case like this, they're going to do a forensic deep dive on this person in terms of what their finances look like. They're going to look to see if you owe money. They're going to look to see anything that's going on in your bank account, right? If you're really in the in a bad place, that's going to be one of the first things that they look at. What do you bet I'm freezing up to? Hey, do me a favor, 333 of you in here. Hit that like button. Boy, oh boy, does it bother YouTube. It really does. Yeah, it would be very suspicious, Ashley G. It really would. Pennsylvania checking in. The cartel would have their money and she would be home by now, says Skis 44. And you know what? She's right. If this had happened that way, I promise you, they would have already been paid. The cartels do kidnap people. Somebody left a comment earlier that said cartels sell drugs. They don't kidnap people. Oh, kidnapping people is a cartel business, but not in the United States. And when they kidnap somebody outside the United States, I live in a place where people get kidnapped, not in the particular part of the country that I live in. I live in Ecuador, but people do get kidnapped in Ecuador. And you know what? About 70%, I looked this up today, about 70% of them are returned within the first day. Less than 10% are never returned. You know what those people are called? Drug dealers, right? Drug runners. If you get kidnapped and you don't get returned in this part of the world, it's because you refuse to play with the cartels. They wanted you to have a hand in something. A lot of times, I'm not trying to bum anybody out, but a lot of times it's just independent fishers, right? Guys who are fishermen that don't want to run kilos of cocaine out to a boat or whatever it is that they're pushing from this part of the world, usually cocaine. And they will kill you for that, unfortunately. But for the most part, Tommy, you were right. Your wife had a wonderful channel. I became a member. I love both channels. Main, I promise you, my advice will always be solid, and my wife has a channel that is a lot of fun to watch. She is irreverent in the most beautiful way that you will ever see. 400 people in here. Do me a favor, smack that like button, hit the bell for notification, and make sure you hit subscribe, right? That way, when I do go live, if you hit that bell, you should know about it. I'm going to keep being the mayor of Realville.
You know what? Someone asked a question. Let's say somebody kidnaps somebody, gets paid. How do you then get out?
Right. Well, Johnny Scoville just saw a comment I didn't. He said, if you kidnap someone and you get paid, how do you get out? In the United States, you don't. In Europe, you usually don't. One of the most famous kidnapping cases in history, believe it or not, is the guy that owned Heineken. How about that, Johnny Scoville? They kidnapped the cat that owned Heineken and his driver. They had built a cell in a basement inside of a storage facility. So they went and searched everything. This is one of the richest guys in that part of the world. Denmark, I believe, is where they make that brew. And they were searching high and low. They were going into buildings. There was a cell in the basement. It was the greatest planned kidnapping in history. They got paid the equivalent of $19 million, which it was in kroner or whatever. But it is a record for the most money ever paid for a kidnapping in that part of the world. However, they all got caught. They got caught in France. You can't disappear after something like this. I promise you. There's the chat. Look at that. It's back. You can't just disappear. Hey, bad Mama C. Good to have you here. Monk says Reese rocks. She does. I'm a fan. I might be her biggest fan. I better be her biggest fan. Anyway, what if someone in Nancy's family has a drug or gambling problem? This could be a way to collect the debt. It absolutely could be. Now, a drug problem? Drug problems don't traditionally leave the same kind of paper trail that gambling problems do, right? If you happen to live in Arizona, there are casinos in Arizona, right? They're owned by, usually by Indian nations, but there are casinos in Tucson or just a short ride outside of like the city limits. You're going to hit casinos in Tucson. If you have a gambling problem, staying away from a casino is going to be next to impossible. And those kind of things leave paper trails. Gamblers also in today's day and age are probably playing sports books online because you can use credit cards to bet and all kinds of stuff. If you only bet with a bookie, you're not going to have a paper trail, but you're going to have forensic evidence anyway. There's going to be a ton of money missing, things like that. Drug collection, right? Drug deal, drug use can be a little bit different. However, how much money do you got to get into to justify grabbing somebody's grandma? You know what I mean? That's millions of dollars. And they would reach out. If these were drug dealers, they'd be like, hey, pay the money.
She's so fragile. I just never kid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted. Yeah, I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted, but grab a kid. If one of the family members owed money that wasn't Nancy, right? All of them have children, don't they? Grab their kid. You buy a kid chicken McNuggets, you sit them in front of a TV screen and allow them to play video games. Hey, Kathy, that one, I can't in my head. And I'll be honest, at this point, I'm freaked out by neckbeard. I really am. But at this point, I'm thinking this is a lunatic. The more that I evaluate this and the more that I think about this, this is the kind of person that may just be wildly preoccupied with Savannah Guthrie. I mean, that may be the case. This could be somebody that just is really, really got a chubby for Savannah Guthrie and will do anything. If he can't have her, he's going to hurt her. And I promise you, there is nothing on planet Earth that is going to hurt this family more than this. Even if you were to murder this woman, and at this point, I think she's been murdered, right? Maybe it wasn't intentional or any of that, but at this point, she most assuredly has been murdered, in my opinion.
Even if she died of natural causes, in their hand, it would be considered murder.
Correct. No matter how she dies at this point, if you're in the commission of a felony, this will be felony murder. You know, you run somebody over who is drunk. You realize how many ways you can screw up when you're committing a crime? A drunk driver can run a red light. You can T-bone them. But if you're leaving the scene of a crime, you just committed felony murder. There are so many ways. Pay attention, boys and girls. If you have not decided what you're going to do with your life, every other option other than crime is the right one to pick. In this day and age, nobody is going to get away with it. They're not. Now, even if these people were to have killed her accidentally, whatever the case may be, and then made a run for the Mexican border, they're still going to get caught. They're still going to get found. Because if the intel leads us south of the border for real, and we go down there with U.S. agents, and they'll let us in there, we go down there with a crap load of FBI agents, the cartel will find those people and turn them over instantly because they don't want their business, which at this point dwarfs most corporations in the United States, right? They don't want that business messed with. And whether this makes sense to people or whether they want to believe it, Elsie Brooks, thank you so much. I really appreciate the super sticker. I wish I could put it up on the screen. Maybe at some point that will happen. Thank you, StreamYard. Killing it. Really, absolutely horrible. 600 of you in here, though, almost. Do me a favor and smack that like button. Hit subscribe and the bell for notification. Yeah, well, who knows? At this point, Johnny Scoville, are you kidding me? Yeah, you may not believe this, but truthfully and honestly, cartels are a business, an absolute business. If the cartels had anything to do with this, it would have been run smoothly. It would have been. I saw an interesting thing today. There's a guy that he has a podcast called Body Bags, and he showed an interesting clip right when the guy goes in to pick up the foliage I can't say that the way that Nancy Grace does. I wish I could because I just
Foliage.
foliage. Nancy Grace really has an odd way of saying that. However, when the guy goes to pick that up, he looks up and off in the distance, and it almost looks like he gives somebody a head nod. It's right at the point where he's tapping his hand. Maybe he's trying to shake the excess leaves or whatever out of it, or maybe it's a sign of some kind. This guy thinks he is signaling to another party. Like maybe he's saying, haven't got the camera yet, don't go around back. I don't know. But I don't think this is a one-man gig. I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. If these are real criminals, this isn't the kind of thing that you do with only one person. You just simply don't, because it makes a lot more sense to do this with a team of 3 people. It just does. You're going to have a getaway driver. You don't want to have that person run, leave the scene, right? Risk getting caught, leaving the scene. I know that in any other neighborhood, people are going to listen to me and go, you wouldn't want to park down the street in a getaway car. In the Catalina foothills, I promise you, you park a car down the street, no one's going to see it. Their Ring cameras, their Nest cameras aren't going to pick up the street. The neighborhoods aren't built that way. They are designed so that you don't see the street. They're designed so you don't hear cars go by. It is a very, very unusual place, and it is absolutely beautiful. Ashley G says, I would leave a note much quicker. And it gets them to reach out to you instead of reaching out to the cops. You don't want the FBI called in on you. If you're doing some kind of a job like this, what you want is as little of the press and the world knowing about it as possible, right? Do me a favor, everybody. Hit that like button, right? And then make sure that you hit subscribe and hit the bell for notification. Monk says the Harvey thing is weird. If you're talking about Harvey Levin, that might be because Harvey Levin has no soul. You hear that? I'll say it again. I hope somebody is forwarding this. Harvey Levin has no soul. If you haven't seen my other shows on this, he went on Fox, right? And don't paint me as a Fox guy. I just chase these wherever they go, right? I don't watch Fox and I don't watch CNN. They both suck, right? However, no. I'm saying the guy that went to if this isn't a family gig, and I agree. So the guy with the Chubby for Savannah has got 2 sick buddies to help with grandma, or he paid somebody. I don't see this as a one-man gig. I don't. And the more I look at the images, I understand why you said that. But the more you look at the images, it looks to me to be 2 people. And I kind of thought that in the beginning. And so does the feds seem to be. Much love from Ohio to you and your family. Thank you, little redneck. I appreciate that. This sounds more like a kidnapping gone wrong than a robbery gone wrong. If a robbery goes wrong, you don't stop stealing, right? This was literally my wheelhouse. I was a thief. That's what I went to prison for. I robbed banks. I stole stuff, right? That was my career basically, was I was a thief. And if this is a robbery, you're not going to stop stealing, right? Because something went bad. And robbery's gone bad. If you look them up by definition, what is the definition of a robbery gone bad? You go in, the person wakes up, and you have to kill them. When she left that house, she was alive. That's a kidnapping by definition. Whether or not you ask for money, you're still looking at a kidnapping. You get that? If you take their dog, it's a dog napping. If you take something, a living creature from someone's home, that's kidnapping. So by definition, this was. Why not steal stuff while you're there, says Ashley G. Well, if you're there, yeah, it's not a kidnapping gone wrong. If money wasn't the motive, it looks like it's gone perfectly. I understand why you would say that, Rosie. I don't necessarily believe this has gone perfectly. I don't. I think that there's a lot of mistakes in this, a lot. And they're going to end up coming back to haunt them. If this person did what they call in the game cluster purchases, then it's just a matter of time. And what I mean by that is everything that they're wearing seems to be purchased new. That backpack isn't old. That's not something they've been, going up into the hills with. That's a new looking backpack. And they're saying that most of the other clothes, including that holster that he's guarding his junk with, right? That junk holster. And I want to tell you something. Johnny Scoville makes a really good point. The checkout cameras at Walmart have caught a lot of bad people over the years. And this is the truth, right? I was a bank robber. I saw a lot of images of myself inside banks in my discovery. And the camera system at Walmart makes every bank I ever robbed look like Mickey Mouse crap. Walmart has a loss prevention department that is second to none on planet Earth. Those cameras are incredible. Why does Sheriff Nanos refuse to involve EquiSearch? Great question. In a ground search for Nancy, EquiSearch is the gold standard for searches of missing people, especially in Tucson, Arizona, We're trying to walk the area behind the houses. Trying to walk that is insane, literally. EquiSearch is the gold standard for trying to find people. They are absolutely incredible. How do we know she was alive? Because she was hooked up to, she had a pacemaker. The pacemaker communicates with a watch or a phone. I believe it was a watch because of how they're talking about it, but it could be a phone, it could be anything. And all it's doing is kind of running the tape. So if anything happens, so we know when she disconnected from the base, she was still alive. If the heart had stopped, that would have been recorded on that on the base device. Whether that base device happened to be a hi Johnny Scoville, Tommy's untwin brother. That's right, untwin brother. We just look like twins. Something about the whole thing, I don't know, but none of this makes sense, man. Walmart should have its own aisle for kidnapping and murder, gear, tote bags, knives, scissors, backpacks, and I would check the shoes too.
Zip tie, story, phone,
yeah,
line, and a shovel.
Johnny Scoville's not being funny. You can get your zip ties, you can get your burner phone, you can get everything that these people may have used. We got to believe they used burner phones. And by the way, burner phones are not foolproof. I knew a ton of guys in federal prison that got busted because of their burner phones. How? Because it still has a unique number to connect to Wi-Fi and do all those things. Now that number, they don't know it was sold to Johnny Scoville, but they can say to you, it got shipped to a Walmart in Tucson. Which one? The Super Center on Broadway, right? They can tell you where the thing got sold. Now you go back and it's just a matter of cops being cops. And think about this for a second. How many cameras? I don't know what the Walmart looks like in your hometown, but I know what they look like in Tucson. What do you figure? 12 or 13 checkouts? There's a lot of legwork going through all of the material to see if the person, all the people that bought those backpacks, were they dumb enough to put it on a credit card? Boy, if they are, we're really talking about some ass clowns. More than likely, they paid cash. Yeah, you know what? They're not going to take an 85-year-old woman, an 84-year-old woman to scare other people. I know that this is a theory that seems to be popular, man. You know what, Mama Bear? Thank you. She says, I love your channel, but decided to join Reese's today. She's amazing. She really is. This is one of those situations where we're going to hear a lot of theories that, with all due respect, don't make a lot of sense. And I'm not busting balls. I promise I'm not. But to take a grandmother to scare the younger people, if you don't leave a message of some kind, how the hell do they know that they should be scared? For real. So my mom gets kidnapped. I'm going to sit down and think, what am I doing that somebody could be threatening me to stop? And if your head goes to Epstein, she is not on the forefront of Epstein reporting. I asked 7 different AI models to rate the people that talked to survivors, the people that did stories on Epstein. She comes in number 6, right? She's not even in the top 5 of people that really are going after that whole network. One woman in particular who wrote the original article about what happened in Florida and how he got away with it, got him arrested for the second time, right? The one that he unalived himself, allegedly commits suicide in a cell at MDC Brooklyn. I'm sorry. At the Manhattan Detention Center, not MDC Brooklyn. What's that?
They heard me sneeze.
They did hear you sneeze. God bless you. Do me a favor, everybody. We're closing in on 1,000 people here. Do me a favor and smack that like button. That would be the thumbs up emoji. It helps push this out. And I'm going to say suicide. I'm not going to say unalive. I'm going to say murder, right? I'm going to say all of those things. So I really do need your help when you say things like rape. And that's another possibility that a lot of you keep sending me emails on. Statistically speaking, it is a very rare thing for rapists who go into homes to take the people away from the home to rape them. It's just not usually how it goes down. And just raping somebody that's 84 is also incredibly rare. And it's not about sex. So are there weirdos who do this? Absolutely. Because it's about control and violence and all those things and bad friggin' wiring. But for whatever reason, and you can basically almost go across the board with this, the older the victim, the younger the perp. Books have been written on it. The older the victim, the younger the perp. Those people that are at the front door don't look like they're in their teens to me, right? You can argue on this one if you'd like. I don't think those people are teenagers. I don't think they're in their 20s. I really don't, right? The one that we have the video of, that we see bending down, getting the flowers, all that, that person looks to have a hitch in one leg. The way they bend down to pick up those flowers, I'm not a young man. I kind of bend down to pick stuff up like that. Kids don't, right? They're much more supple. Right? They have a much easier time bending down and doing things. That person looked older to me. But it's also not something that's usually done in teams. right? It isn't. This is such and this isn't going to die. Even if you accept the premise that she's probably no longer with us, it's not going to stop this from capturing our imagination. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Lima con lime. There's a lot of reasons for this. We all have a mother. We all have a grandmother. And the fact that somebody did this makes no sense to us, right? It doesn't make sense to anybody. The Elizabeth Smart case was like this. For all the people that say nothing like this has ever happened, I talked about this on my last show. It's remarkably similar to what happened to Elizabeth Smart. Forget the age. They went in the middle of the night, they grabbed her, and they seem to have disappeared into the ether with nothing. Technology's gotten an awful lot better since the Elizabeth Smart case. But in the Elizabeth Smart case, they immediately, day 4, polygraphed the whole family. And then at the press briefing, which they did daily on that case, came out and said, we just polygraphed the whole family. We're not getting anything like that from Sheriff Nanos. Somebody said you got to stop calling them nicknames because no one knows who you're talking about. So I'll just say Sheriff Nanos, the idiot, right? He comes out and tells the world things they don't need to hear, but doesn't tell us all the things that we should hear. He wants to come out and say, stop beating on the family. They've suffered enough. Then tell us how you cleared them. And don't say, they voluntarily gave up their phones. Well, you're going to give up your phone. I promise you. I promise you. You don't know. If you said, I'm not giving up my phone, they'll go into a judge and go, they're refusing to give up their phone, right? They're going to hand their phones over. And unless you're an asshat, you didn't use that phone anyway. But if that's how we cleared them, that seems thin to me. But if you came out and said, hey, we polygraphed the whole family. There are polygraphers that are working in Tucson every day on this case. That's been leaked. That's absolutely a fact. So who are they giving polygraphs to? Apparently, they have polygraphed some of these people whose houses they raided, right? Some of those people have given up polygraph tests. But that guy, Carlos, that they got that had nothing to do with this, came out and talked to the press. The other guy that they got, although he didn't personally come out and talk to the press, he had his attorney give a statement to the press. How is it that we don't hear from Neckbeard or Annie? How come we're not seeing people that absolutely should come out? I don't remember seeing the ring impression on the glove when looking at that video originally. Did I miss it? I don't think we were looking for it because I said the same thing, Katie. Yeah, I said the same thing to Johnny Scoville. I'm like, did they add that? How did I not see that? He goes, were we looking for a ring? I mean, honestly, these are people that are taking this frame by frame by frame by frame. By the way, 50,000 leads have been called in. Do you know how many of those leads are someone saying, I think the guy's right-handed? I'm not being funny. There are so many people that are sleuths. Little Redneck says, no, I don't remember that. Hey, I'm not as high on that ring as everybody else is anyway. I mean, for real. And you know that there are people that are saying, okay, remove the glove. Ask an AI to remove the glove so we can see what the ring looks like. Man, that is pseudoscience. If you think that that's going to pay off, you know how many people, Ori Shorts, good to see you. Do you know how many people are calling in and saying, I got an image I want you to look at?
Well, the tarot card said this.
Yeah, or people that call in and say, a psychic told me this, this, and this. Have psychics found people in the past? They have. They have, or have gotten ridiculously close. So is there something to that? Maybe. I mean, honestly, maybe. But good God, if that's what we're going with, this woman's definitely dead, right? What we need is science on this. We need to go through good old-fashioned police work. But maybe don't tell the perps you know where they bought their backpack and clothing. Maybe don't tell the perps that you have a device that is flying by drone that can find specifically her pacemaker, nobody else's, no other Bluetooth, just that pacemaker. Why are you telling us that? I mean, I want them to give us information, but don't give it to the bad guys. If they came out and said, here's how we cleared the family, that's not hurting the case. Harvey Levin's hurting the case. For real. By the way, they're using a cryptocurrency that I've never heard of, right? And I understand crypto, but I'm not a crypto guy. I buy Bitcoin, I sell Bitcoin. Like I'm not like most people. I own a little Ethereum. What I'm not doing is looking at every other coin out there. And apparently there is a coin on the blockchain that is damn near impossible to trace. And that is what they wanted their $6 million in, or roughly $6 million in. But Harvey coming out and talking about how every single time one of these pops up, Harvey tells us exactly what happened. Even though he says, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to hand this over to the FBI. Harvey is a whore. You hear me? He's a whore. And says the guy with 1,100 people in the chat talking about the same case. but it's a little different, right? I'm not coming out here trying to screw this case up. I'm giving a platform for a lot of people that would like to talk about their theories. And I think that that's probably not such a bad thing. Regarding the guy in California who texted tomato, he also said, we are waiting on our end. Too incriminating of a statement. He said it was a joke, 2 texts, 1 phone call. That's a joke, too sus. He also said, I did this, but I had nothing to do with the kidnapping. This guy told on himself pretty quick. I got to be honest with you, man. I spent way too much time in the criminal world. That dude would have already rolled.
No, here's the deal. As far as whether she's alive or dead, someone said, what's your opinion? Here's the deal. If it was our mom, we'd be holding out.
I'm still holding out hope.
Remove the emotion. That woman's not right.
Hey, I'm still holding out hope that she's alive. However, do you want me to give the opinion? She's dead. And here's the thing. If it was my mom, I would be holding out hope until the bitter end. However, we're thinking about this as a lost adult woman, right? There's a woman out there and she's missing and we want to know where she is. Let's think about who she is. She's 84 years old. And it's been quoted both ways. She can walk 50 yards. She can walk 50 feet. Any way you shake it, you're not going to be putting this woman through her paces without threatening her life, right? She has a pacemaker. She takes an unbelievable amount of medication. And how do I know that? Because my father had one. And people on pacemakers take an unbelievable amount of medication. The pacemaker regulates your heart. It is all of the other stuff that keeps you alive, really. I mean, it keeps you from getting out of rhythm and doing all kinds of other stuff. But without that blood thinner, I've talked to 2 doctors already that said without that blood thinner, 3 days she could make it. We're on 3 weeks. Is she alive? And look, and she's on pain medication, right? So without opiates, just dope sick. And it doesn't make you a junkie. You understand? I was a junkie. But someone who is dependent on opioids, and if you've been taking them 3 months, you are dependent. When you get them removed from your system, you're going to go into withdrawal. The last time I was in withdrawal, I was in my 40s. I promise you I couldn't do it again at my age. And at 84, it would kill you. I'm sorry.
Never experienced it. You don't know what it is.
If it's the first time you're getting it, I mean, it would kill you. I'm sorry, it would. And people go, yeah, but it's easy as hell to get that stuff in Mexico. It isn't actually. I mean, you can buy pain medication over the counter in Mexico. It's stuff that doesn't go bang, in all honesty. Was it ever put out there that Nancy had a pacemaker with heart problems, etc., before they had taken her? That's a great question, Transporter. Honestly, that's a really solid question, and I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to work on that. If they dumped her in the elements, if she's out there, it's going to be difficult. However, and again, go ahead and send me some hate mail. The way that they find people that have been dumped is they look for carrion birds, right? They look for buzzards. They look for what do they call those? Vultures, right? Animals that eat the dead. I know I even survived Suboxone. Yeah, and look, I've kicked Suboxone too, but try kicking Fent, because more than likely at her age, she's on a fentanyl patch. It would kill her. And allegedly, that's what's been leaked, is that she was on fentanyl patches, which, by the way, these guys didn't steal. These people were businesslike. They may not be professional, but they weren't in there to steal shit. They would have taken the gold. They'd have taken the patches, right? Guaranteed. I mean, that's instant money, and it's not traceable. I don't care how, like, this one piece of gold looks like an eagle. Yeah, it did when they walked out the door. They're going to smack that with a hammer within about 15 minutes. You can literally just, soft gold is, whether it's, so 18%, 18 karat is like 7.50 is what they say in Europe, right? That's 3/4 real gold. When they say, what's gold trading at? It's trading at, $5,000 an ounce, right? That's 24 karat gold. So that's all gold. But that's too soft to make a watch out of. It's too soft to make jewelry out of. So they cut it with other things, right? So if you're looking at 14 karat gold, it's about half gold. If you're looking at 18 karat gold, it's 3/4 gold. But you smack it with a hammer and it is malleable as hell. You can put it into a lump and still sell it. Doesn't lose any value, right? So I promise you they would have taken the gold. Sorry, but as a woman, I have intuition. Most women do. She is at rest. You know what? I hope we have a miracle, but I like the way you put that. I think women do. I do believe that women have intuition. Good God, man. I tell my wife this all the time. I absolutely believe that. This was a stop what you're doing kind of crime. Can you explain that to me? Please explain that to me. Yeah. This is a stop what you're doing kind of crime? You mean they wanted who? Savannah Guthrie to stop what? Because I promise you Nancy wasn't doing anything that was going to piss off anybody. She was going to church. So I assume that you mean this case is officially cold. Oh, no, it's not. Paulie, in order for this case to go cold, they have to be out of leads to search. That's the definition. And with 50,000 leads, trust and believe this puppy ain't cold. Now, I think there's a decent, no, we're not twins. We get that a lot though. Without leads, it's cold. There are a lot of leads that came in that are absolute bullshit that are just a waste of time. But that being said, there's still a bunch of them and they're going to chase them all down. So we still have some time. I used to be hooked on stuff, but now I'm on phonics. Biz. What's happening, Biz? Biz is one of my favorite people. And if you guys have never gone and checked out Biz is one of the most amazing people on planet Earth. His story is absolutely incredible. Biz, I got nothing but respect for you, brother. Go check out some of the stuff he does. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, Biz, stick your link in there. They have money. It won't be hard to get insurance policy and assets for the average person. It's harder for sure to get what's owed. Yeah, any way you shake it, without a body, it's going to really clog that up. She was cremated. Hey, you know something? I did time with Drew Peterson. They've been looking for his wife for decades, right? The one that disappeared, Stacy. Stacy, according to Drew Peterson, he had her cremated. And if that's the truth, then they're not going to find it. Smudge Girl says, I will never understand why Barney Fife didn't tape off the crime scene. It was beyond me, right? Idaho stayed taped off. So much evidence was probably destroyed. Worse than destroyed, right? It's tainted, right? It's tainted. Destroyed is one thing if you can't go get it. But if what you're getting belongs to someone else, like we're all up in arms. The whole community seems to be really excited about the DNA off of that glove. What do you think the odds are, right? And I hear all these theories. They get in the car. The first thing they're going to do is take those gloves off. Why? Why would they take the gloves off? You can't drive a car with gloves on. I promise you, with those rubber gloves on, you could drive a car, you could shoot a gun, you could do all those things.
You work gloves for everything.
Tire tracks into the garage. Somebody posted on X. It would make sense since they took Nancy's car too. Anybody know about this? Jade, I do not yet. Yeah, they blamed, Merska, you're talking about Elizabeth Smart. They blamed her dad, then her uncle, and they both passed polygraph tests on day 4. Take that back. Dad did. The uncle's was inconclusive. They should have tested him again. Maybe he didn't want to be. He wasn't in on it, right? But yeah, this case definitely is weird, man. Harvey says different, and if Harvey says it, Roddy, you got to know that it's true, because Harvey Levin wouldn't just say something. You know what else Harvey is fond of doing? I think maybe I should just start doing this TMZ thing. Tomorrow, I'll just chop what I just did into 40 pieces, put them up 3 minutes at a time, and put breaking along the bottom of it.
Bombshell.
Right? Bombshell. If I put something up that says bombshell on this channel, come over here and watch it, because they probably found her. For real, because none of this shit's bombshell. I'm sorry. And everybody, you know how many comments I got to delete a day that calls me a vulture for making money on this? You know, I didn't pop up doing this yesterday. I'm a vulture that's been making money on true crime for a hot minute. 1,300 of you in the chat. Do me a favor, smack that like button. Hit subscribe and hit the bell for notification. Breaking news overnight, says Eclipse Moon. Horrible, isn't it? Horrible. Tim Trimble, what's happening? It's just disturbing to me. And it's disturbing to me that you get absolutely shite upon for saying something as bold as, let's be honest, there's not a really good chance this woman's still alive. Why in the name of God? Oh, baby, don't tease me. You better have a bombshell for me. My wife is a bombshell. Look at that one. F. Harvey. Sorry, Tommy. Yeah, you're not going to get a sorry out of me. Yeah, you know something? Mama Bear says, love for Elizabeth Smart. She is a true survivor, badass. I love seeing her talking about everything now. She is out there making it happen, right? She really is. She's a survivor, and she's making a difference. Beautiful woman, has really done an awful lot of healing. And I don't know if you ever read her book, right, about what happened, but the amount of healing that is required from what happened to her, you would have had to have been 14 to survive that. Honestly, you would have had to have been very, very young and very, very solid.
Kidnapped 184-year-old people, 25 of them died of heart attacks on the way out.
Johnny Scoble says, if you kidnap 84-year-old people with pacemakers, you're going to kill half of them in the process of trying to kidnap them. You know what I mean? And it's sad to think about, but let's be really, really honest, man. This doesn't look good. It doesn't. Why would you keep her alive? If you're a criminal, think about it like a criminal. Why would you keep her alive at this point? You can't show any proof of life, which is a bad sign. So chances are all of the stuff that's asking for money, those people don't have her because you would prove you had her and you'd have already been paid and she'd already be home, right? None of those are real. So no one's reaching out for real to say, hey, pay me. No one. That means she's dead. Why it happened is going to be the question. But Roman says she was dead day one. I agree with you. And I'm still praying. I promise you I am. And I want it to happen. I want her to be brought back home. Excruciating pain, but she kicked it. Yeah, you know something? It hurts me. My mom's the same age and lives in the Catalina foothills. But just in case you happen to be a kidnapper, that would be the wrong house to go through the front door on. Mama Scoville will ventilate your happy keister. Is my last name really Scoville? Absolutely not. Breaking news. Yeah, the clickbait titles are killing me. Yeah, me too. Breaking news. I also think that Tomato and Annie Guthrie know about the kidnapping. Oh, know about the story. I'm sorry. In Savannah Guthrie's book. They knew this would point to other people. They could also have had a third party send random notes to blame on the kidnappers. It's really risky to have a third party do this. They're going to find the asses that do that, right? They're fine tuning how they're going after this, right? Are the police searching for Nancy? Well, the FBI sure is, right? The FBI sure is. Sheriff Nanos is a drooling vegetable. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, my mother hates you. This is true. You want to hear a funny story? When I was doing Diddy stuff, I was in Tucson, and my mom watches me, right? That's why I try not to curse. But my mom watches me, and I was over at her house with my brother, and we were talking, and she goes, "Boy, you're getting a lot of views." I said, "I am." She goes, "But all your titles are clickbait." My mom's 80-something. I went, "The hell did you just say?" I said, "How do you even know what clickbait is? I can't believe you just said that." The clickbait, yeah. They're on a roller coaster of emotion. I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. You want to stop that roller coaster of emotion? If you see a channel that clickbaits you, block them. You can make sure they never pop up in your feed again. Stop going after any of those.
The good thing is AI. You don't see a human being. Stop watching.
Oh, yeah. No, Mama Scoville's no pushover. Mama Scoville scares me. My father was, 6'4", 270. And we'd go, oh, God, let him handle this. Don't let Mama Scoville do it. If you get that reward up high enough and offer immunity, don't you think someone would flip? I don't even think you got to offer the immunity. I really don't. If somebody, look, you were ready to take the risk to do this. I don't care how much, criminals all think, hey, I knew what bank robbery was going to hit me with. One of the reasons I never carried a gun is because I didn't want to elevate it to a much longer prison sentence. If you go in and say you have a gun, even if you don't, you may as well have one because it's going to be the same sentence. I never threatened anybody. I didn't scare anybody because I knew what it was going to carry. These people had to have a pretty good idea. So if you were already thinking worst case scenario, I'm going to do some time on this. If you reached out, put up a $2 million reward, put up a $5 million reward. This may not sound like it makes sense because you think criminals, that there's no way they're going to talk to anybody. Most of you probably saw Goodfellas, right? The Lufthansa heist from Goodfellas, that's a true story. Like that really happened. It's one of the largest heists that, and in the movie, they don't even give it any justice. There was a lot of jewelry and stuff that was stolen in that heist as well. It was millions and millions of dollars. And the character played by De Niro, the real life character of that, right? Killed everybody. Jimmy Conway had everybody killed. The reason that it took so long for there to be any arrest on that, and they have arrested one person on the Lufthansa heist, they found a body in a basement. And they were able, 40 years later, they found a body in a basement, concreted in, and figured out from that, and they actually have made one arrest. Everybody else got killed. You can't pull off something like this, that there aren't people who know what happened, right? There are people that know what happened. They may not be involved in this, but think of the number of people you see on a daily basis. You're not going to see any of them for the next 3 weeks. People are going to notice that. You understand? These people are laying low. And when people lay low that way, that is a problem. Now go get your freaking shine box. Researching who Savannah's husband is and what others will want covered up in upcoming testimonials by the Clintons on the 26th and 27th of February. 3,911 documents were excluded from the Epstein files. Jiggy Jigsaw! Who'd you vote for, just out of curiosity? Because this kind of ideological hack shit has absolutely nothing to do with this. And I don't care about politics. Right wing, left wing, they all suck. It's the same bird. But here's the deal. If you believe that snatching up Nancy Guthrie sent a message to Savannah's husband, right, who cleans all of this stuff up, you're clueless. I'm not kidding. You're too stupid for true crime. No hard feelings. Do me a favor, Johnny Scoville. Make them go away. Yeah, political stuff will get you banned here really quickly. You're an ideologue, right? If you're looking for a Republican or a Democrat behind every single corner, I have no time for you. I don't. This is somebody's mother that got snatched up. If you think that people are going to stop talking about Epstein because somebody kidnapped a grandmother, with all due respect, you're mentally retarded. I'm sorry, but that is absolutely the truth. Good, for the love of God, get off the blue and red thing. It's going to eat a hole in your head. Be better off doing fentanyl. You're the best. Insights and wisdom. Did I see JLR show Tommaso's scrubbed and said murder next to his pin and description? Yeah. Look, I saw this too. This guy had an odd band. What was the name of that album, Johnny Scoville?
Love, Life, Love, Murder.
Love, Life, Love, Murder was the name of his album. Now, if you kind of put out stuff that's dark, like Stephen King didn't kill anybody. You ever read his books? I read all of them. That dude's dark, right? Really, really dark. There are people that write really dark poetry. There's some really sick stuff out there. I've read a lot of books, man. I did a lot of time and I didn't watch TV. But how tall is the cat? My cat? Johnny's is about 5 feet tall. That cat's a freak. Mom is in Mexico. Why? I understand that it's logical because it's right down there, but why go into Mexico? I mean, maybe if these guys aren't criminals, but if you go and break the law in front of cops, you're going to be in trouble. If you go and break the law in a cartel town, they're going to kill you. They don't want people coming to their town, and that town would be Sonora, Mexico. That's the border corridor for 44% of the dope that's coming into the United States, fentanyl. 44%. You realize the billions and billions of dollars that is being made on that? They don't want you coming down there and screwing stuff up. If you do, you're in deep trouble. They will turn you in a heartbeat to make sure that the United States officials don't come in there and start screwing up their business. And with all due respect to anybody that lived life the way that you should have and the way that I wish I had, I have walked across many an international border in the process of smuggling or breaking the law. And I don't care if people go, you can just drive right in there. You can just drive right in there. Until you can't. I've been stopped. I've been stopped going in. They're not worried about you smuggling drugs in there. They don't want you to smuggle guns in there. And they call it the Iron River. There are a bunch of people, bad people like I was, who will bring guns down there because you can buy a $50 gun and get $2,000 worth of dope for it because they can't just buy guns down there like you can in the United States.
Oliver says I can see the guys going to Mexico to buy the meds. Other than that, no reason.
Hold on. Last night, Tommy, both of my dogs and cats fell asleep. I didn't. You have great energy. Well, thank you so much. Rue knows. Rue's in Mexico. I don't think she's in Mexico, man. The cartel is big in Tucson. Not in the way you think it is. I promise you. Now, there's a ton of dope there, and there are cartel people, but they're not Mexicans. They're American citizens. There are people that work for the cartel, but it's like I robbed every single Mexican drug dealer that ever sold me heroin. And over a 30-year career, I don't think you have any idea how many people that is. But they're not going to pull a gun on you because they have this to a science. The most I'm going to get away with is $2,000. They're making 5 times that a day. So they go, we lose the $2,000. We never sell to him again. Change our phone numbers. That's just what they do. I robbed a couple of them and took their cars. They don't go after people. They're not going to kill you. It screws up business. These people are making money like Coca-Cola. For real. When I first started buying heroin, you had to go to a house to buy heroin. The Jalisco boys, right, from Mexico, came up with the concept of the cell, and they started it in LA. You call a number, they got 3 delivery drivers that'll have the heroin at your house in 10 minutes. And now everybody's... Yeah, they'll tell you 10. Usually it does take a half an hour. It's 10 in the beginning until they get a lot of customers. But heroin addicts or people that are buying fentanyl, they got to buy it 2 or 3 times a day. And you're going to hand them $100 every single time. They don't care if they get robbed.
Till does he don't mind if he goes to he's making apps.
Biz.
You wouldn't want to do it unless you said it was okay.
Biz, you can do anything you want here, bud. Your family. Don't trip. You and Reese. Stay classy, Reese. That's my wife, you know. That's that woman right there. Somebody also said, that is such an inappropriate picture on your wall. I got that as a comment. I hope she's watching right now. That's a picture from my wedding night. So back off. See what I did there? Yeah, no apologies, man. I'm sorry, but this is the way it is. And in my humble opinion, I don't think that they take her to Mexico. I agree they're probably not smart criminals, but they were smart enough to make sure that camera wasn't going to catch the getaway driver, right? They were smart enough to snatch her and get out. Here's a question that I haven't heard anybody ask. So when my dad died, my dad had a pacemaker. He was on a ton of blood thinners. His skin looked exactly like hers. He had that purpura, those big purple, like the bruising that happens underneath the skin. And my dad tore his skin constantly. Getting into my car once, he just caught his shin, bled for 2 days. It was awful. But his car, just where you put your arm on the armrest, he had bled all over it. I mean, literally, he'd cleaned it every time. But how do we know the blood on that front steps happened that night? Honestly. I mean, at that age, you bleed a lot. How do we know that the blood on the front step was from that night? Was it wet when they got there? Well, we don't know. These are the kind of things that they normally would tell you so that they don't get stupid tips. Instead, they're telling us things that you are not supposed to tell them, right? Like, hey, this is how we're going to catch you, right? We were putting this in a helicopter, but it's 700 feet. So now we got in a drone and we can go right over the top of your house. Yeah, I'm not sticking around for that. At that point, if I got her, she's starting to look really like a liability. Did I ever make a carnival video? You know what happened with the carnival video, truthfully? I remembered how much I hate crowds and people. We went outside to do it, and I looked at Johnny and went, I can't be out here. I really can't. You know why I left the United States? One of the reasons I left is because of so many people knew my brother. And you may have noticed, I look a hell of a lot like him. After his second reality show, people would come up to me almost daily and go, I know who you are. And I'd go, no, you don't. You think you do. And I don't dig that. I love doing this with you. But you can ask my wife. When I was on heroin, I went to Mardi Gras, right? Like I loved being in crowds of people. Now it just scares the hell out of me. And not like I think something bad's going to happen to me, right? I'm 1.5 feet taller than everybody in this country, and I outweigh them by 80 pounds. But down here, no one knows who I am, right? Which is beautiful. I walk around, no one knows me. They don't know my brother. Well, my brother gets spotted about twice a month, but it's different. They walk by and go, Johnny, and then they just keep walking. It's very, very different. But when I went outside, I went, oh, God, I can't do this, man. You know, I'm sorry. I wish I could, man. I really wish I could. I wanted to make one. It would have been really great to show everybody, but I can't, man. I am the president of the Antisocial Club. I am absolutely. If I'm the president of that, Reese, and I probably am, let me introduce you to the vice president. Yeah, it just gets.
Someone asked, who's your brother?
My brother is the Johnny Scoville. If you ever saw Super Hots, it was on Hulu. It was on a what was that? Disney Plus, Hulu. Yeah, he had a couple of he had a little bit of fame, and he's kind of the Babe Ruth of what he does. Go over and check out Chase the Heat. You'll see him, and definitely check out my wife. If there's no nepotism, I'll quit doing this.
Thank you for the plug.
Oh, you know, we do what we can, right? And in spite of the fact that there's a silver play button, I continue to plug them. Do me a favor, everybody. There's a lot of you in here. Hit that like button. I do not self-censor. Perhaps you've heard me say rape today. Ever been in someone else's chat and they say grape? Huh? If you're a survivor, how does that feel? Or sexual assault? Miss me with that crap, man. I will speak the way I speak. And you know what? You guys are fixing it because I've been this dude the entire time. But now people are pushing this. They're hitting the thumbs up button. Maybe we could get the big red button. Yeah. Maybe we could get the big red button to stop acting like Big Brother. Your super chats are keeping me alive. They really do what they can to make sure that videos where you say stuff like this doesn't get pushed out. But I'm not going to. I have way more respect for the people that survive and endure that stuff to start playing games. Epstein didn't unalive himself. He committed suicide. You hear that? Or didn't. But I'm not going to say unalive. Or it was a suspension death. He hung himself, allegedly. Right? False flag. If you say child porn, you're dead. They'll never push it out. Who saw the broken glass? There was broken glass without a doubt. There was broken glass right in front of that door. But they didn't take the mat. The welcome mat. What do you think the odds are that with a flashlight in your grill and a bunch of crap in your hand? What did I miss?
Biz, I heard you going off earlier. I was laying down. You couldn't sleep with me.
What are the odds that all that shrubbery that cat had in his hand might have had some of his spit since his flashlight was in his grill? Right? You don't think it was glass? Looked like glass to me, man. But what do I know? I'm not there. I find it shocking that mat is still there, man. Come on, man. Well, tell me how I'm screwing up, man. Wouldn't be the first time. Do tunnels still exist that go to Mexico from the United States? Absolutely. Absolutely they do. And oddly enough, there are people whose job it is to actually to just work on those. I looked up the guy's name today. I saw that about the blood early because the neighbor mentioned a green vase with flowers delivered for birthday, January 27th. They saw broken glass before the kidnapping. Well, maybe. This looked to me to be very, very small. No, we are no relation to Wilbur Scoville. We took the Wilbur Scoville name because my brother can eat things hotter than anyone on planet Earth. You can go to his channel and see him jumping out of an airplane and eating the world's hottest pepper at the time, the Carolina Reaper, and eating 10 of them on the way down. My brother's a circus freak, with all due respect. And he can do it without making a face. Heard a good one today in relation to the status of the case. Watch the feds, not the locals. The feds work in a bubble and don't run their mouths publicly. Yeah. Well, and you know what else, Scott? They have a vested interest in keeping a reputation. I know that people get political on this and they like the FBI if their guy's in office, and then they hate the FBI if somebody else's crew is in office. But I promise you, they're so friggin' good at what they do. Do you know how I know this? 13 years. I didn't go to regular prison, folks. I went to federal prison. I was hunted down by the FBI. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I was good at what I did. Right? I did everything you could possibly do. I hadn't robbed the bank in 2 years. They will get you. They will always freaking get you. They get their guys. They really do. Snuffy just said, is he your younger or brother or older? I ought to block you.
Thank you. That's what I'm talking about.
I ought to block you just for saying that. He's way older. I should kill you just for saying that. You know what, Taddy? This made sense to me too. I bet he took that flashlight out of his mouth and set it down. I mean, that actually makes sense to me. It really does. Why would a kidnapper not message the family from the house, not take 9 hours a head start and keep silent? It doesn't make any sense. Rue, you stop that. You're better than that. The dreaded Fed knock on the door. It has its own sound. Robin Ross, a lot of truth to that. In my personal case, it was a helicopter and 6 agencies. I swear to God, it looked like the last scene from the Blues Brothers. With all the cars, it was the craziest thing you ever saw in your life. They literally had a guy standing on the strut of the helicopter with an automatic weapon, circling where we got pulled over. And I'm not violent, man. I just stole stuff. I wish it was a movie scene because it was one of the funniest things ever. Because they yell like nothing you've ever heard. They curse. See, Reese knows Johnny is 13 years older. Yeah, you guys just like Johnny.
Listen, there's a segment of the watchers that know that I'm younger.
There's a segment of the watchers that are wildly, wildly nearsighted. Yeah, so, and they scream, right? They bullhorn stuff and they curse, right? They get really, really nasty. Get out of the effing car, right? This and that. Put your hands out of the effing window. They get crazy. And I swear, this is the truth. I rolled down the window and said, hey, is this about that community service I blew off? And then after that, I got really scared because they beat on me. Yeah, people, do me a favor. Smack that like button. Hit subscribe and hit the bell for notification. There's a lot of you in here. And thank you so much for making this channel relevant. You know, when I did Diddy stuff, it was. And then I got so disgusted by myself, by the way, not by the true crime community. But when I was doing Diddy, I was chasing clicks. I was saying grape. I was doing all kinds of stuff that made shaving very difficult. And I said that if I were to come back and do this again, then I'm not going to care about that. And I'm just going to do it the right way. Can't make any money doing it the way I'm doing it. But you guys are making this so that it will pay the bills. That's a beautiful thing. Means a lot to me. I would love for the big red button to finally just allow us to speak. Right? I mean, there are ugly words in our vocabulary. They need to remain ugly. I'm not calling somebody a minor attracted person. They're a pedophile. Right? It's an ugly word for a reason. And they don't push you if you say that. Epstein wasn't attracted to minors. He was a pedophile. Right? And a vulture and a killer. I promise you. Wait until I do my shows on him. There's things that are going to freak you out so badly on the Epstein stuff. when he gets an email from someone that said, I really enjoyed the torture video, we're in a world that needs to get fixed, right? There's over 1,000 victims, maybe 2,000, depending on who you believe, that have been written off for politics. I don't talk about politics here, but this was politics, not right or left, big countries involved in it so that they could squeeze rich men and powerful men to get what they want. And the guy that ran Victoria's Secret literally is worse than Harvey Levin, right? For real. One of the most evil people on planet Earth. But I digress. Yeah, self-censorship's not going to happen here. And you guys are making it so that I don't have to do it because I'm going to keep speaking how I want to speak, how the language that I learned, right? It's disturbing as hell that this is what we've come to. I watched, I'm trying to study on Epstein because we're doing a lot on the Epstein case. But to listen to the people last night, try to get through his death without saying the word suicide or hanging made me want to kill someone.
Primitive life is. For you and Johnny, what YouTube content and editing, what software do you recommend? What do you recommend? Laptop?
Editing?
Editing?
I go live. I'm not smart enough to edit anything.
I have 9,000. I didn't even take 1,000 until 3 years ago.
I have like 5,000 or 6. I don't know how many thousand videos. I got a lot of thousand videos. I just go live, people. None of this is edited. I shoot from the hip. I work without a net, and sometimes I may go a little overboard and a little offsides. And when I do, I come on and I apologize. Right? So if I go a little bit too hard, but I wish I could answer that question. I'm not particularly bright, people. I'm really not. Don't let me fool you. I was wondering if she's seen on video anywhere leaving and arriving home. You know what, Taddy? Maybe you think that because in the beginning, the sheriff told us we knew that she went into the garage and that the door was open for 2 minutes because it was on camera. That's what he said the first time. And I came out and reported it because, like an idiot, I thought maybe if the sheriff says this, it's real. Kind of like I reported that they were there for an hour and 7 minutes before they called 911. That freaked me out. I started going, the family's in on it. Nobody waits an hour to call 911 when there's blood on the front steps. Of course, then he comes out later and says it was 7 minutes. That I could buy, especially if you didn't go through the front door to get into the house, right? And even if you don't, everybody in Tucson's got a garage that has a little keypad on the side. And most people I knew used to enter through that garage. I don't know why that is, but most people do. So I think that it's probably pretty likely that everything we've heard has been BS.
The Punisher. Do you think Epstein's alive?
What's that?
The Punisher. That's it. Do you think Epstein's alive? Yes.
Do I think Epstein is alive?
That's the Punisher.
My wife does. Here's the thing. I can only think of this as a criminal. You understand? Everything I do in true crime, I do from the criminal part. And I don't think he was the top of the food chain. I think Ghislaine Maxwell was his handler and that he was a cog in a wheel. And I think it's still going on. I think that operation hasn't stopped. It switched locations. There's a new person doing it. But that you want to blackmail a guy? If you catch him cheating on his wife, if he's a stand-up cat, he might just say to his wife, I cheated. I'm a scumbag. I cheated. But now someone's trying to blackmail me for it, and I'm not going to let that happen. But if the girl's 14 and they got a picture, oh, you're going to do what they ask you to do, especially if you're a politician, right? Or you're Les Wexner, or you're somebody that is so powerful that there's no chance in hell that you're going to risk your career because you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar, especially if the cookie jar is 15, right? Or 14. And there's a lot of reasons to believe that he has killed people, right? There's a lot out there that will lead you to believe that if Epstein victims didn't kind of get in line, that they killed them. But do I believe he's still alive? From a criminal standpoint, I'd have killed him, right? He wasn't just a guy running a cell. He was a pedophile. He was out of control. I would have had him killed. I don't see, how can he help you? He's now the most recognizable guy on planet Earth. And if you think that they're going to give him a new face and all that, stop watching Face Off. For real. I mean, you could do some plastic surgery. You could adjust hairlines and all that, but it's getting out of control to actually try to pull that off. For example, Bill Gates. I'll bet you don't even know how bad Bill Gates is. Supposedly he has babies buried on his ranch. I believe that. What do you think of that? I believe that one. Can police find out if any life insurance policies were taken out on Nancy? Yeah, we can't, but absolutely they're doing that. And I'm sure that they're going to. Johnny is ignoring you. No, stop ignoring. I did. Stop ignoring my wife.
I didn't. And then Renee said, I'm just selective. It's hard to talk about. I'm throwing a wrench around you.
Okay.
I'm
So-
multitasking.
So for my opinion, I'd kill that dude. And here's the thing: you got a body double and killed him. And Baden, the guy that went in to oversee the autopsy done on that body, the guy that came out and said the ligature marks don't make any sense; they're sideways. You hang yourself, they go up this way, right? We think hanging yourself, and we think a guy that puts a thing up.
You sit on a throne of lions.
Who said that? You sit on a throne of lies. Reese, you'd be happy to know that he's literally on the floor laughing. You don't hang yourself by kicking a stool out from underneath you in a federal prison. You hang yourself, and I've sadly seen it at least a half a dozen times. A guy will tie a shirt that he rolls or a sheet that they roll, and they'll let themselves hang on it. But when you let yourself hang as a way to kill yourself, it's going to go up. If you've ever seen the ligature mark, it is straight across his throat. It doesn't make any sense. Do I think he killed himself? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Everything they told you about the segregated housing unit, I will do a show on this tomorrow. If you guys don't show up, I will be pissed. But I will do a show tomorrow about just forget all the conspiracies and everything else, just from a guy that spent literally years of his life in a federal segregated housing unit, right? Years I spent in the shoe. I was an idiot. Right. So I spent more time in the segregated housing unit, which is where he died, than 99 out of 100 convicts you're going to meet. Forget regular folks. Right. But I can tell you 50 reasons why everything they told you is a lie. But if I do that show and you guys don't show up, I'm going to be salty. Yeah, I promise you, Mike Jensen, one of the first things this is kind of what I was saying in the beginning. One of the first things they're ever going to do is start to go at this forensically. And I mean, a financial forensic deep dive. All of the family, how much do they owe in credit cards? You never saw Shawshank Redemption? And I married you?
Stop. That can't be the truth.
You really never saw Shawshank? Can we stop this show?
My brother Ralph, I didn't like it. I don't want to watch it.
Not as salty as Johnny ignoring me. See that? There, you've done it. You've done it. You've done it. That's my wife. I have to live with her.
Tell her I ignore everybody.
He does ignore everyone in his defense. You'll watch my show about Epstein? Please do. It is a great movie. Don't change the subject. See that? I'll start putting them up on the screen if you ignore my wife. I swear to God I will.
I'm talking to her. I'm not ignoring you.
One of the best movies of all time. It really is a great movie. And I'll tell you something. I don't like prison movies for the most part. Were there any mafia or is it a dead breed? Robin, I'll tell you something. And I'll out the guy because we're good friends. And if he saw this, he wouldn't be pissed. One of the only gangsters that's left, because most of them suck. But one of the only real gangsters that's left is a guy named Joel Kakase. Yeah, if you don't find them under that name and you're going to spell it wrong and you're going to think it's Kakase, try Joe Waverly, right? Look up Joe Waverly. He owned a flower shop called Waverly Flowers. He was a gangster, a real one. And he was my best friend when I was in prison. One of the most solid dudes you ever met in your life. This is a true story, man. He was in court and a judge said to him, they had like the mafia thing on the background where it shows all the different people, right? But they had empty boxes. They couldn't get to the higher ups. They had the capos and some of the lower guys. And the judge said to him, if you fill in those box, I'll take 10 years off of your sentence for every single one of those that gets filled in. That's what the prosecution and the judge said. And I read all of his paperwork. He goes, for real? And he goes, yeah. And he goes like this. Like he's counting it off and then went, go F yourself. When he got sent away, he got a death sentence in the feds. And he gave it back. And I was there when he walked out the door. It was one of the most satisfying things ever. And everyone was waiting for him to get back and take over the family. He was, at one time, the head of a crime family. After that, he was also second in charge of a crime family. And everyone was expecting him to go back to it. And when he left, he said to me, never going to happen. She hasn't seen Princess Bride either. In her defense, she is seeing that the next time that she's in Salinas. So, yeah, if you guys haven't seen Shawshank Redemption, you need to see it. I usually keep these to about an hour, folks. There's a reason for that, and it's because I'm just really not that bright. Medication is doubtful. They took Nancy Guthrie prescription 3 weeks. No meds is not good. It isn't. Now, could you go across the border and buy all of them? You could. Do you think that they've been going across the border and checking all of those pharmacies to see if it makes like a list of all the things that they bought? That's a possibility. I would have bet my life that they talked to their counterparts on the Mexican side of the border the day that she was captured. Allegedly, they didn't do it until 18 days in. So if she did go into Mexico, boy, do they suck. They're not doing, look, you guys, none of you are cops. Everybody said, when I first started doing this story, she was missing a day. All of you said, hope they're checking Mexico, but that didn't occur to Sheriff Nanos until day 18. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. But hopefully his reality show is going to do well, right? This guy loves being in front of the camera. I don't mind being in front of the camera, right? But I'm not supposed to be chasing down somebody's mom. I also really dig going to ball games. I'd kind of like to catch a University of Arizona Wildcats basketball game. Wouldn't be a problem if I did. You know why? Because I'm not chasing down anyone's missing mother. Mike Jensen says, love your channel. Just curious to ask. I noticed you don't have any annoying ads. Great. Love it. Is that the norm for lives, or does YouTube monetize you? You're making money from this channel? I am making money from this channel. However, with all the stuff that I say, not too many of those companies want to run ads on my videos, right? Apparently, they just don't want you saying child molester. They don't want you saying pedophile. They don't want you saying false flag. Suicide. What am I missing? Mossad. I did say pedophile. Child pornography, child porn, kitty porn, all those are death. But I'm not. Can't say rape. Can't say gun. You got to call it a pew pew, right? And I don't know what the hell you call it. What do you call a bullet? The things that go in a pew pew. I'd rather suck on a tailpipe and hold it like a bong hit. Or grape. Grape. I don't know, man. I like grapes. You step on them, they become wine. I like wine. But grape, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying any of those things. So I'm keeping you from a lot of those annoying ads. And somebody left me a message the other night, said, you hit 30,000 people, got rich, and now you don't put up enough shows anymore. I'm like, I didn't have internet. And then she said, I see right through you. And I said, yeah, not anymore. And then I blocked her happy ass, which is a shame because I really enjoyed having her around. She was fun, but she just went nuts because I missed a show. Sorry, man. Sorry. I'm sorry?
I said, what about parasocial? It's for the best.
Johnny says, probably for the best. She'd have gotten into that parasocial thing and scared the hell out of me. Mark Oliver says, this is a big hit show, and it absolutely is. Too much money with no ransom in time. It's not easy taking care of an 84-year-old with health issues. My theory, honestly, I think they were trying.
18-year-old with no health issues.
Yeah, you don't snatch someone with health issues, right? Maybe I'll get a glove sponsor. Well played, Roddy. Well played. The only problem is no gloves fit me, man. Do they pay you on views or only by ads? Well, you get paid by the number of views you have, but that money comes from the ads that are run. So your CPM, which is how many dollars you make per 1,000 views, fecal matter theatrical. Well played, Tommy Bird. Well played. She had to have her Tommy fix. One more good reason to block her. Neptune agrees. Shawshank Redemption, fantastic film. But Papa Kenny, at this point, I live on Super Chats. Somebody today sent me $20 on PayPal. I wish that I had got the name, but I saw it right before going live. I'm not trying to bust the big red buttons balls, but that goes around them. They don't take all those Super Chats. They do take cash out of, right? But when I got it on PayPal, I was like, holy hell, that's fantastic. You know what I mean? It does help. There's a lot of people that are doing a lot to keep me on the air. And that's a beautiful thing, right? That really is a beautiful thing. But I'll be honest. But Tommy, George Carlin's All the No Words platform unapologetically. You know what? My wife and I have a thing for Carlin. Not going to lie to you. So does my brother. I hate to say it, but I might be just a little bit influenced by Carlin. Do you know I saw one of Carlin's first shows after he sold the for 1-800. Remember the 1-800 phone or the 1-800 collect or whatever ads that he did? And he came out and he grabbed the microphone and he goes, yeah, I sold out. All right. And everybody just started laughing or booing. And he goes, but in my defense, it was a lot of money. I loved Carlin. Are we doing a show tonight? No, but we will be doing one tomorrow night. We're going to be doing them just on the weekends. I found a few things out about doing the night show. One, I'm better when I sleep.
Wow.
You agree? It helps. Yeah, we're definitely better when we sleep. And the other thing is it definitely cuts down on all of your other stuff. Tommy, can you do a deep dive on the Las Vegas shooting sometime? You betcha. You keep getting kicked off? Well, that sucks, Southie girl. They may know you're from Southie.
I have a lot of friends in South.
We have a lot of friends in Southie. Oddly enough, Tommy, dye your face hair black. You'll get sponsored by Zigzag. Royce, that's a hell of a comment. That is a hell of a freaking comment. If this was working, I would have put that up and pinned it. Hold on, check this out.
Nice.
I'm not saying I've seen the Zigzag guy before, but tell me this ain't it.
Pretty good.
Love George Carlin and Shawshank Redemption. You're here. You're in the right spot. Didn't mean to insult you. You didn't insult me.
Santi's got a great question. What are the top 3 things Savannah can do next week to really change the approach of the case? Or should she just keep her trap shut?
Asante, that is an absolutely astute question. And I have an opinion on this. I think that she absolutely should come out. And I think that she should say, if it were me, I would say, at this point, I no longer believe that people who are holding my mother have any intention of releasing her. So that $202,000 reward is now $5,202,000, right? Savannah, if you're hearing this and you don't have the money, I'll start your friggin' GoFundMe, right? And get better investments, because with what you make, if you ain't got 5 million, damn, right? I would have 5 million in Bitcoin if I were you. Did you hear Harvey has joined Neckbeard's band? He is writing lyrics. Tommy, love you and your wife. And now your brother. Is he single? He's antisocial is what he is. He's antisocial. No, he has in fact, I can show you his girl. I'll show you her on the next video. He does have a girl. She's closing in on 22 pounds, right? She's still a little girl, 22 pounds, white, fluffy. Honestly, she looks a hell of a lot like a white lion at this point. She is worth 40 million. Yeah, then what she needs to do, and I'll tell you something else. I would say, and I want help from the people of Tucson to go out and look for my mother or her remains, right? Seriously, there's a lot of land in Tucson. I'm going to be going out and walking. The Smart family did it. People do it all over the place when these kind of things happen, right? Get out there and show that you're a part of this, that you're not sitting around waiting for something to happen. Well, look at this. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Johnny is antisocial, though. No joke.
Who said that, Reese? No, Johnny really is antisocial. And look, I mean,
I have a right to be that way.
No, I completely get it. I completely get it. I'm not mad at you. Smudge, thank you so much. That is such a kind thing to do.
10 years, bro.
Yeah, Johnny's been doing this for 10 years. When I'm 10 years in, man, I'm going to need a straitjacket. Did you? Yeah, Harvey, you know what? Harvey, if you're watching, man, you're a scumbag. I really would like to say other things about you, but I have relatives that watch this now. I'm embarrassed about my language. Honestly, I'm working on it. But boy, the things I'd like to say about you, Harvey Levin, you really have no soul. Honestly, you don't. Harvey is such a dirtbag. He really is. And don't go, well, you're making money on this too. Yeah, but I'm not in the middle of the case. You think anybody in Tucson is going, hey, this Scoville guy is really kind of clogging the gears because they're saying that about Harvey Levin.
Harvey's in the chat.
What's that?
Legend has it. Harvey's in the chat.
Yeah. You know what? Harvey would do a show about me if he was in the chat. Actually, no, I'm not big enough yet.
You remember the crazy kidnapping of the Big Lebowski we were talking about yesterday?
The kidnapping of the Big Lebowski? It's funny you say that. Johnny Scoville said that too. Yeah, that's it. You know what's in the bag? Huh? My skivvies, my dirty whites. Now, Big Lebowski, Robert, that is a movie that my wife has seen. Why has there been no search parties? When people go missing, they have communities go looking for the missing person. That has not happened in this case. Why? Because at hour 30, the sheriff douche nozzle, in his wisdom, decided that maybe we didn't need to continue that, right? He's dumber than a box of hammers, sadly, right? Why is it that you can walk up to the front door of this place? Why is it that you can cruise through her driveway today? Huh? Because he didn't do anything that cops do. He didn't shut down the crime scene. God, shut the road down. Have a cop at either end, and you go, where do you live? Right up there. Go ahead. Head on up there. You can come at that from both sides. Shut the road down. Get all of those jack wagons out of there that are filming 24 hours a day. I'm not pissed. If I was there, poor Pepperman, if I was there, I would absolutely be filming. I would, right? But it's not good for the case. It isn't. or guys that are chasing down the SWAT people on the way to where they're going, that's a bad thing. That's not a good look for this case. You follow me? It really isn't. Elaine McKenzie, get Reese a nice coffee. I absolutely will. Thank you so much for the support. And if my chat ever cooks up again, I'm going to put that up there. But thank you for the 20 pound.
Renee hasn't seen the Big Lebowski. Go do that right now.
Renee, you haven't seen the Big Lebowski? You're going to hear something that you're never going to hear on any other YouTube channel ever. Leave right now. Go away and go see the Big Lebowski. It is what I'm talking about isn't nearly as important as you seeing the Big Lebowski. Harvey is like a used scumbag turned inside out. You know what? I like it. It's effed up, but I like it. Elaine, that is very, very kind. I really do appreciate that. That coffee that I will get her, we're going to get her at Sweetened Coffee. It will be a Seo Rojo, which if you've never had, is such a good cup of coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the front desk? What is this?
The first day in Ecuador, we were staying in a hotel, and we went downstairs to get coffee. It's a show dog. It's got papers. We went downstairs to get coffee, and I said to Johnny, "What the hell is this? Is the best coffee I've ever had in my life." And we're not those kind of people. Johnny's like, "I'm going to go downstairs and ask them what kind of coffee they use." How many years sober do you have? I'm in 11. I'm in my 11th year of sobriety.
16 years.
Yeah, Johnny's on 16. It does sound good. It smells different. Ask Reese. Pete Taylor, good to see you. What's up?
Waking up and not needing to figure out what kind of crime you're going to that day to stay high.
Yeah, there's something to be said for sobriety is the absolute business. If you're out there, by the way, I've had a couple of people that reached out to talk to me about sobriety. If you're out there and you're fighting it, I can't tell you what it's like to wake up and not wonder about how you're going to commit crime enough today to get $700 to stick in your arm. Right? The worst days I have, I wake up and I don't need that. The sun's always shining. Even when I'm in a piss poor mood, man. Being in a piss poor mood and sober is just completely different. In Australia, we would say Harvey has a face like the inside out arsehole. Well played. Ma, don't yell at me. I was reading that. It was a comment.
Random coffee.
Seo Rojo. Rue, what happens if I'm antisocial and Johnny is antisocial? And we just go to dinner and neither of us have to talk? You know what? I think you're onto something, right? Boy, would that cut down on the on all of the silliness. What's that movie? What's the movie? Pulp Fiction.
I was thinking about Best in Show. We could sit around talking about nothing
Reese,
all day.
Reese, Johnny Scoville just dropped a Best in Show reference. I bet you know what it is. I did 15 years sober, best. Now I drink, but I'm mature now. No, that's good. I want to tell you something. I drink, right? My sobriety is from heroin. I never had a problem with alcohol. I had a wicked problem with anything that kills pain. Anything. Loratab, heroin, right? Pick your pain medication, and I can get addicted to it in about 6 minutes. And I mean addicted. I don't do street drugs either. I don't do cocaine. I don't do any of that crap, right? But, I like beer.
Don't tell me that'll do, donkey.
That'll do, donkey. That'll do. Renee B says, I can't handle being thrown off the boat. Well, listen.
We could talk or not talk for hours.
We could talk or not talk for hours.
Oh, is that a great reference?
It really is. It really, really is. Are we going to speak about Nancy anytime soon? Probably not. You got here a little late, and that's what you got to deal with. And you know something? Next time, I'm going to make you right on the board because that kind of piss poor attitude, it's not going to score you anywhere in this corporation. I promise you. And there's Elaine. Thank you so much. I will get Reese a nice cup of coffee. Get a Bugatani. Do me a favor. Excuse me. What happens? Yeah, there you go. There you go. I appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you so much. And it's probably time for me to go because at this point I'm going to start saying filth, flarn, and filth if I continue here. Floon? Johnny Scoville. You said floon. Get a whiteboard to write red flags on. Not a bad idea. Truly the best experience. God bless you, Mama Bear. All right, people, we're going to call this one a night before I start getting mean.
Thank you, mods.
Yeah. I got you. A lot of floon. That's my girl. I was waiting for that. All right, I want to thank the mods who work harder than anybody on planet Earth. You know, I'm in South America. They don't have a lot of notice before I go live. That's a hard thing to do. And they show up here. And let's be really honest, man. I kind of have an attitude problem.
No.
Yeah, no, I do. No, I do. I'm hard to deal with. That woman right there is probably the only person other than Johnny Scoville who can deal with me. So if I've offended you in any way in this live feed, I just wanted to say that. All right, people, I will see you on the next one. Between now and then, get over there and hit subscribe at Relatable Reese. It would be a beautiful thing. And I promise you, you will thank me later. If you don't believe it, go read all of the other comments of people that are thanking me later. And then get over there and hit subscribe on Johnny Scoville. That would be Chase the Heat. Why, thank you. That is a very kind thing to say. All righty, people, I will see you on the next one. Between now and then, continue to pray that this woman is brought home safely and alive. Nothing that I said today is going to stop me from that prayer. And I believe in the power of prayer. I'm never here to preach to anybody, but make no mistake, Jesus Christ is Lord. Have a great day. I'm Tommy. We'll see you on the next one. God bless. Bye-bye.